As a master of public health, I constantly consider how things affect the public. My overly analytical brain always tries to understand our most significant problems and how we may best tackle them, and I truly believe the key lies in education.
I could school you on a few things.
Today we'll explore why the US's powerful education system of the 1950s and 60s helped Americans and the world thrive. The US's global dominance in education during the 50s and 60s benefited not just the US, but the world. Thanks to the minds trained in US classrooms, breakthroughs in electronics, computers, and medicine exploded. College campuses became breeding grounds for civil rights activism and future leaders. High taxes on the ultra-wealthy brought in serious cash. That money helped fund public investments, infrastructure, science, and especially education. Countries around the world began to model their schools after US research institutions. Believe it or not, education may have helped keep the Cold War cold. Check this out, you're not gonna believe this. Louis Armstrong called. He said he wanted to sing my opening jingle. Can you believe this guy?
Sincerely, Sammy. Sincerely, Sammy Shaw.
In the 1950s and 60s, the US was regarded as a global leader in educational access, innovation, and higher education primarily due to three factors: its substantial investment in public education following World War II, the GI Bill, which increased access to higher education for veterans, and the emergence of prestigious research universities, along with a robust college system.
High fidelity.
The US's global dominance in education during the 50s and 60s benefited not just the US, but the world. Let's start with how the US benefited from our global dominance in education. Did you know that education helped win the space race, grow the economy, and even fuel the civil rights movement? Let's break down how America's classrooms shaped its global power in the 20th century. In 1957, the Soviet Union launched Sputnik. It shocked the US and lit a fire under American science and math education. The result? The National Defense Education Act, and a nationwide push to train scientists and engineers. 12 years later, boom! The US lands on the moon.
Supposedly.
Education turned panic into progress. That investment paid off massively. Thanks to the minds trained in US classrooms, breakthroughs in electronics, computers, and medicine exploded.
Universities became engines of discovery, and a better educated workforce helped supercharge the post-war economy.
The GI Bill gave millions of veterans college access, building a skilled middle class that fueled consumer spending, home ownership, and new industries. In the 50s and 60s, US universities weren't just national treasures, they became global magnets. International students came to study and often stayed, boosting the US economy. Others returned home, carrying American ideas, turning education into a form of soft power during the Cold War. Education didn't just grow the economy, though, it changed lives. It opened doors for underrepresented groups, expanded the middle class, and helped power movements for justice. College campuses became breeding grounds for civil rights activism and future leaders. So next time you hear about policy debates in education, remember, it's more than schools and tests. Education built rockets, raised industries, shaped global power, and helped push a nation closer to its ideals. We've talked about how America's education system in the 50s and 60s powered its rise, but what about the rest of the world? American universities led medical and technological revolutions, from curing polio to inventing early computers. US research institutions didn't just solve American problems, they advanced global knowledge. American journals set the gold standard for science, becoming the go-to source for cutting-edge research worldwide. And American universities weren't just productive, they were prestigious. Countries around the world began to model their schools after US research institutions. Think Harvard, MIT, Stanford, not just brands, but blueprints. Presidents, CEOs, Nobel laureates, many of them studied in the US. These international students didn't just gain degrees, they built lifelong networks that boosted diplomacy, development, and innovation across borders. Believe it or not, education may have helped keep the Cold War cold. By staying ahead in science and tech, the US matched Soviet power without firing a single shot. Brains over bombs? it might have just worked.
So, while America invested in education for national strength, the world gained knowledge, leaders, and a little more peace. Education isn't just a domestic policy, it's a global force.
Sounds great, right? You might ask yourself,
Well, what the hell happened?
well, it's important to mention that also during the 1950s and 60s, the top 0.02% of earners, those making over $200,000 a year, that's about 2.3 million today, were taxed at around 90%. Today, that same cohort is only taxed at 37%. From 90% down to 37%. In other words, back in the 50s and 60s, the ultra-wealthy paid more than 2 times as much in taxes as they do today.
So, why does that matter?
High taxes on the ultra-wealthy brought in serious cash. That money helped fund public investments, infrastructure, science, and especially education. Back then, there was a strong belief: invest in people and the country thrives. And it wasn't just about revenue. It was about redistribution. A more progressive tax system meant less wealth concentrated at the top and more opportunity for everyone else. The result? A fairer economy with upward mobility.
Fast forward to today.
Taxes on the wealthy are way lower, and the focus has shifted from investment to austerity. Budget cuts, tight spending, and growing inequality.
So, what's the takeaway, ma'am?
Tax policy isn't just about dollars. It's about priorities. In the past, high taxes on the rich helped build schools, create opportunity, and power economic growth. Today's system, well, that's a very different story. Now, let's talk about the science.
Science! Science! She blinded me!
Recently, the US has fallen to its lowest ranking in education since the global metric for such a thing was first established. And when the education system fails, the ripple effects can deeply undermine a society's stability, prosperity, and cohesion. Here are some of the most significant dangers of a failed education system. 1. Widening inequality. Wealth gap increases. Without quality education, lower income individuals have fewer chances to access well-paying jobs, perpetuating cycles of poverty, because education acts as both a gateway and a gatekeeper in society. Limited social mobility. People from disadvantaged backgrounds remain stuck there, unable to climb the ladder. 2. Economic decline and unskilled workforce. Poorly educated population struggles to meet the demands of a modern, innovation-driven economy. Lower productivity. Businesses face a shortage of competent workers, which stunts growth and global competitiveness. 3. Political instability, a misinformed electorate. People tend to fall for disinformation, conspiracy theories, or populist rhetoric when their critical thinking skills are weak. This part is almost the impetus for this video. I get so frustrated by how many people I know have fallen prey to misinformation because school hasn't adequately equipped them to navigate the online world we find ourselves in today. A weakened democracy. Without civic education, citizens may not understand or value democratic institutions, making authoritarianism more appealing. 4. Social fragmentation, less empathy and tolerance. Education helps develop empathy and understanding of others. Without it, prejudice, xenophobia, and social divides can deepen. Civic disengagement. People begin to feel alienated from public life, and community involvement drops. 5. Higher crime rates, fewer opportunities, more desperation. Youth without access to quality education may turn to crime as a means of survival or due to lack of alternatives. Prison pipeline. Poor educational systems, especially in underserved areas, often feed into the school-to-prison pipeline. 6. Public health issues. Lower health literacy. Individuals may not understand basic health information, leading to poor choices, higher rates of disease, and strain on healthcare systems. Shorter life expectancy. There's a strong link between educational attainment and lifespan. Poor education, poor job, poor health, shorter life. 7. Stunted innovation and progress. Fewer scientists, researchers, and creators. Innovation relies on a well-educated populace to develop new ideas and technologies, lagging behind globally. Countries with strong education systems surge ahead, while those with weak ones fall behind in influence and prosperity. In short, when education fails, everything else is at risk. Economic strength, civic life, public health, social peace, and even national security. It's not just about schooling, It's about the entire future of a society. If you'd like for the US to return to a time of prosperity and power, you're not alone. As I've showcased, we clearly know the blueprint is bold public investment. And that starts with fair taxation. The key is to tax the mega wealthy at rates upwards of 90%. And luckily, there is a political party very much in favor of doing this. They recognize that lasting prosperity comes from investing in people, not just protecting wealth. It's the Democratic Party. But enough about that. I think it's time for some cat. Okay, that's it for this show, He, She's, and Theys. Be sure to like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, have fun, be safe, and try to learn some stuff, damn it. Oh, and be sure to leave a comment about why education is important to you.
Talking about credit, where credit is due. Slipping and slap together for Sammy. What the fuck, credit?